See, in here you get this false, there's no windows, you get this false sense of, man, it's nice out. All this color in here, how sunny it is, you get to shoot hoops, you can smell how that Italian beef is just, man, this is for tomorrow.
I heard some was for today.
No, I don't think so.
Or mixed reports.
Mixed reports of,
I got my whole body's ready for some Italian beef. I don't know if I can hold off.
like, you can't smell something on camera, but it feels like you could smell this Italian beef. And then I say, boy, it's sunny, we got something on the grill, it's beautiful, and then I go out here and then look at this. You know what I did yesterday? Painted the bar.
You painted it.
Yeah. You know I painted the town.
Yeah.
I painted the bar.
It looks good.
Yeah. I went and got a paint chip, took it into the Colony Paint.
Now we need some sun and some beers.
Oh, that didn't stop me from having beers yesterday. I had to check out the tap just to make sure. I checked it out 3 times to make sure it worked.
Quality control.
Yes. Well, beer on tap. Made it to a Thursday. It's hour 1, Dan and the Danettes, Dan Patrick Show. I was just talking to Paulie, since I have nobody else to talk to here in the man cave. But I was talking to Paulie, and Paulie goes, just imagine if the Green Bay Packers a couple of weeks ago traded with the Houston Texans, and they gave a second-round draft pick to the Texans for DeAndre Hopkins. And let's say the Packers decided to move up in the draft and take a defensive lineman, or maybe CeeDee Lamb. What would we be saying about the Green Bay Packers and Aaron Rodgers today? We wouldn't be saying anything other than, man, are they loaded and they are ready to go. Everybody wants to follow Kansas City's blueprint. Well, you start with the quarterback, and how many teams have a Patrick Mahomes? The Packers have an older Patrick Mahomes, and now they gave him track stars on his team. They did supplement that defense, made it better. Chris Jones was a godsend in the Super Bowl. But if Green Bay had DeAndre Hopkins and they drafted CeeDee Lamb, let's say, we would look at the Green Bay Packers completely different than we are today. We're looking at this team as if 13-3 was a mirage. They were lucky to do that. They're really a 10-win team, maybe a 9-win team. I think Vegas has the over-under at 9 or 9.5. Hey, we got to start looking at the future. Hey, Aaron Rodgers is on the decline. If they went out and got DeAndre Hopkins and CeeDee Lamb, I'd love to know what Vegas would list them as Super Bowl contenders, because they would probably be right there with San Francisco as the team to beat in the NFC. As a result, we're talking about Aaron Rodgers, the lack of a relationship. They want to send a message. They're tired of his passive-aggressive mood. And here is Brett Favre yesterday on the Rich Eisen show talking about the bridge burned in Green Bay.
Green Bay's not going anywhere without Aaron Rodgers in the next few years. If he plays like we expect him to play, they got a shot with or without a first-round receiver. He's that good. So I would do all I could to not burn that bridge. And I don't think that they did that. I think that they burned a bridge that it's going to be hard to overcome. At some point, I think it will rear its ugly head.
That's Brett Favre on the Rich Eisen show. Here's a couple of things that I took away from that. Now, I'm not surprised at anything that Brett said. Brett said that he didn't think Aaron Rodgers ends his career in a Green Bay uniform. And I agree. I don't think he does. I don't think that that's going to be possible. And Brett certainly understands this. Brett has been in touch with Aaron Rodgers. If I would have told you 5 years ago that Brett Favre would be an advisor to Aaron Rodgers, that Rodgers would be confiding in Brett Favre, you would have said, no, that's not going to happen. But that is what is happening. I also wondered, is Brett Favre sort of the mouthpiece for Aaron Rodgers right now? With what Aaron feels, and if he unloaded on Favre to say, hey, I get it, man. I get where you were. I get it. And you might be telling him some things. So when Brett Favre goes on the Rich Eisen show, he might be saying, hey, this is just my opinion, but it might be my opinion with maybe a little bit of Aaron Rodgers in there. But, yeah, just some things that I took away yesterday. Dan Orlovsky of ESPN, the former NFL quarterback, on Twitter yesterday says, you tell me, Phillip Rivers got Michael Pittman. Ben Roethlisberger got Ebron and Claypool. Breeze got Sanders and Ruiz. Ruiz, the center out of Michigan. Brady got Gronk and Wirfs. Rodgers got Jordan Love and a pound the rock running back, A.J. Dillon. Yeah. And then Orlovsky ends his tweet by saying one of these doesn't belong with the other, and we know which one that is. Look, if they want to send a message, you don't like Aaron Rodgers' attitude, we're going to see if we can. He's 36. Are you changing his attitude? Now, Aaron should have known if you're going to bring in Matt LaFleur, you know what his coaching style is as an offensive coordinator in previous stops. And you can't be surprised at that. If you're going to bring in somebody who wants to run, who likes what Kyle Shanahan does in San Francisco, who likes what Sean McVay did with the Rams, then you can't be surprised when he comes in and says, I want to run the ball a little bit more here. We want to be more like San Francisco. Are there alternative plans for college football in the fall?
There's the conversation, are there? Sure. Is that the focus? No, the focus is on preparing to play as scheduled, Labor Day weekend. I think that's an important message publicly. I think it's important for our student athletes to hear from me that we're focused on that preparation. Now, whether or not we can make that happen, that's going to be up to the circumstances around the virus.
But no football with no fans.
Not something I have to decide right now, and not high on my priority list for thinking about. Now, whether the fan patterns look different, that's another question. That again, we've learned a lot in the last 30 to 45 days. We're going to learn a lot more in the next 45 days, and we've got a little over 100 days to the start of what would be football season as scheduled, and that'll guide how we make those decisions.
But I wonder if you have students on campus, then is there a correlation between that students on campus, fans in the stands, or is that a big leap there?
I don't think it's a big leap, Dan. I think the first threshold is our campus is moving back towards operation, and you see really on a daily basis, universities across the country talking about moving forward with their fall plan. So that's the first step. The patterns and how people enter and leave and where they sit are all those other types of conversations that, is it linked to students being on campus? Sure. Is it directly linked? I don't think you can make the statement that it's all one seamless process.
How does this benefit college football if you're going to allow these student athletes to capitalize on their likeness? Are we getting away from, hey, you got to pay them? That maybe that question doesn't get asked anymore of Mark Emmert and the NCAA. So I'm trying to figure out what's the benefit for college football.
Well, I think the question is asked. It's asked of Mark. It's asked of the NCAA globally. It's asked of me, and we're not in a pay for play mode, and we've said that as a principle. So this isn't an idea. And let's go back to the California law. The California state law very clearly said, here's the circumstances around this name, image, and likeness activity. Those concepts, by the way, have been out there in different areas, whether it's in media conversation and discussions and lawsuits. So now, what does it mean? It means that an individual gets to go act in their own interest and decide, do I or do I not want to be involved in economic activity? The responsibility of the university is to provide the support basis, be it the scholarship, be it academic support, mental health, but the individual student athlete gets to go function somewhat like a student who wanted to go sell autographs. By the way, I don't see a lot of students out there successfully selling their autographs from our university campuses. So some of these comparatives, I think, get a little bit twisted, if you will.
Walt Disney World is probably going to be the ideal spot for the NBA to salvage its season. I just saw something from Mark Cuban. Mark Cuban sent out a tweet. I'm cautiously optimistic we'll be able to finish the NBA season for television. I don't expect that we will have fans. And you start to think about this. I think this was on Yahoo Sports with Keith Smith, who's a former employee of Disney World. And this is in Lake Buena Vista, Florida. And if you've been to, Walt Disney World, you know that you have all of the rooms there. The proximity of everything there, you have really a city within a city. You've got almost 5,000 rooms. You got resorts that are connected with each other. And if you have food and beverage on site there, you're able to have a one-stop shop there, and you would basically have an NBA city. And you'd be able to have this controlled environment, and you'd be able to have these basketball games. I don't know everything else that's attached to this, but it feels like if you're looking for something, now they've looked at other places. Las Vegas is another place that they looked at. Could they do Atlantic City? Could they do the Bahamas? Like they're thinking of everything here. But this one caught my attention. A lot of locations are interesting, but Walt Disney World in Florida makes the most sense. Hotel, housing, basketball facilities there. The NBA is one place that has to involve more than just a court or two to host the games. But if you're able to maximize the schedule, the NBA, you could play as many as 2 to 4 games at a time. You're not going to have fans there. Not going to be able to have fans. Park is closed down. You're basically going in there to finish an NBA season. So I get it, but that's just another possibility that's on the table there. Put me in the huddle in 1982 before Michael hits the game-winning shot against Georgetown. Who was supposed to get that shot?
Well, it was the most amazing change of my feelings I've ever had in my life. I thought the entire year we were going to win the national championship. I thought we were the best team. I never had any doubts, and all of a sudden, with 31 seconds to go, coach called the timeout. We had the ball out of bounds on the sideline. And the look on our guys' faces as they came to the bench just shocked me. I said, oh my God, we could actually lose this game. And that had never been a thought of mine, never. And so players sit down, and we as the coaches kneel down in front of them. And Coach Smith was the most magical I've ever known anybody in my life. He said, guys, we're in great shape. This is exactly where we want to be. We're going to determine who wins this game. And I'll admit that I sort of faked a cough so I could look to the scoreboard to make sure, because Georgetown was one up. And I didn't want Coach Smith to think I was scoring. But and he kept going. He said, guys, we'll run lineup to get it in. I don't think they'll be pressing. I think they'll be in the zone. And if they are, I said, let's run 2. And James, you'll go over for the lob. And Sam's going to set the screen, or Matt's going to set the screen. But if we don't get the lob, which I don't think we will, we'll go weak side. And if we get the shot, we'll take the shot. We'll have the board covered. Sam, you get middle position inside. And James, you'll have weak side board position. So we get the rebound. And if they happen to get the rebound, we'll foul them. And there's no way in the world they're going to make a foul shot in this situation. So we'll get another chance. And all of a sudden, everybody just, their whole expression, the look on everybody's face, including mine, changed dramatically. And as they're going out, I'm standing 2 feet away from Coach Smith, and he patted Michael on the backside and said, if you get the shot, knock it in, Michael. And that was it. So originally, yes, we wanted to throw a lob to James Worthy. I mean, he had dominated the game. But we did go over the weak side, and Michael had the shot. And if you look at the tape, we had great rebound position. And all of a sudden, then somebody told Freddie Brown to throw the ball to James.
Oh, I know. But that was
the most confidence I've ever heard in my life, and the change of everybody's expression. Excuse me, Dan.
But that skip pass that you had, right? That wasn't normal back then, right? Like it is now, but cross court against a team like Georgetown, it surprised me a little bit, though.
No, it was part of the play. I still run the same play now. I mean, we try to throw the lob, and if we don't have it, we throw it on the backside, because if you have somebody like James Worthy going across, that's going to take the low forward position. That's going to take him, because he's worried about James. I don't have James or Michael now. But, we still run the same play. A little different players running it.
When Ewing shows up, does Michael then play one-on-one with him at North Carolina?
That was one of my great stories, because they were there the same weekend. Pretty good 2 prospects on campus that were pretty good. But so I'm taking them over to the football game. And so we'd Coach Smith's meeting with him in Carmichael, where we played at that time. And so we go down on the court to walk out the back door to go to the football game. And the basketball's there. And Michael says, we got a couple minutes. I said, yeah. So he starts messing with Patrick and backing him down and then faking him and shooting. And he's just laughing at Patrick. Patrick's going 25%. And I mean, maybe not in that, but they have street clothes on. And so at one point, Patrick had enough and he got the ball and he backed Michael down one dribble, two dribbles, and then turned and about broke the backboard, dunked it on his head. And Michael said, you ready to go, Coach?
Let's go to the football game.
Let's go to the football game. Now, we're done here.
You also look at two of the greatest players of all time. Larry Bird was homesick at Indiana. Michael got to North Carolina, and he was homesick. Did he almost leave?
No, not at all. He loved it. Now everybody misses your mama's home cooking. Every player I've ever had was a little homesick, but no, that was anybody that would say that is another. That's just somebody saying something. But there was no doubt that young man loved it there from the first day he stepped on campus, especially when the pickup game started and then the basketball practice started. He was an incredible person, incredible player.
Look, this is what the NBA is going to try. I don't understand how you're going to sign up for a massive money loser, right? Like that's the big thing. And if we look around sports, minor league baseball, what is it? 40 minor league baseball organizations are losing their affiliations. This is a money loser for the NBA. I don't like the academy system because while it may refine a guy's skill for the NBA, it doesn't teach him the value of winning, of dominating guys at your age. It doesn't allow you to play in front of crowds. There's a bunch of stuff you're missing. And so I don't love it, but I guess it's what's going to happen. And I wonder how many kids they're going to take and how many other kids it affects because they think they're one of the elite kids.
Well, it's supply and demand. You can have aspirations to play in the G League and make that money, but that somebody has to take you. It's, how many guys have the aspirations to play in the NBA? There's only so many roster spots there, only so many kids who are going to get this special deal. I'm fine with it. I applaud it. If you want to be a professional player and this is a gap year, get paid for it, and I can have professionals working with you on and off the court, and that's what you want to do, then don't take up a roster spot in college.
No, listen. This is the dirty little secret that no one will admit is this has been there for high school kids since they started the back when it was the D League.
Yeah,
you were allowed to go straight from high school to the D League. The difference was the level of compensation, right? And don't start with me with the not you, just they can go and they're going to pay for their education. First of all, none of these kids are going to go to college. Second of all, once they get done playing, if they want to go to college, you may be able to pay for them to go to college, but they can't get in. They can't get in because, as you know, having kids that have gone through college, how difficult it is to get in on your own because they'll be on their own. So this is simply becoming a professional. This is what we've had a lot of pundits like Jay Billis say, hey, this should be available. Now everything will be available for these kids, and let's see if it actually makes one, the product better, and two, it makes the kids better.
I can understand from the Packers' standpoint drafting him. They made this work once. They did the same thing X number of years ago with Favre, and they drafted young Aaron Rodgers. I just don't necessarily get the arrogance of it. We're not going to tell them. We're not going to, and they pursued him. It's like Aaron Rodgers fell to the Packers when they drafted him. Love, they pursued him. They moved him to draft him. So you don't even include Rodgers in. You went 13-3 last year. You neglected to get anybody who might help him. I saw the stat last night that he's had fewer touchdown passes to a first-round draft pick than like any quarterback ever.
Yeah.
Certainly anyone going to the Hall of Fame. And it's just like, wow. So I was joking around, Dan, and then since then, I've had all kinds of people text me, including some in the NFL, who said, dude, you don't even know how right you could be. Now, it won't be the Bears because the Packers just won't deal them to the Bears. But it's going to be somebody. I care about the Bears, so I wanted it to be them. It's going to be somebody. It doesn't look like this is going to last for long, does it?
Mike, I think it's going to be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and he'll be known as Jolly Roger, and we put him in the Buccaneers uniform, and he takes over for Tom Brady. It's too easy, Mike. It's too easy.
That is easy. Although, Dan, that even presumes he would last like a year or so more in Green Bay. And I have to wonder, you're Matt LaFleur, the arrogance, it's unbelievable. Just, can you handle it differently? Do people never learn anything about the way you handle something? Apparently not.
Todd, what did you learn on today's program?
I learned try not to have a Big Ten jersey on when the SEC commissioner is a guest on the show. He can see you via the Zoom.
You should have kept it on. It was Ohio State, and he said, and it was great and quick thinking by him. He said, "You're Joe Burrow. You went from the Ohio State jersey and you put on an LSU jersey."
Right, and then I put on Syracuse because I
you-
wanted to give love to Roy Williams in the ACC, and then I put on Chicago Blackhawks for Wilbon.
McLovin, what did you learn today?
Roy Williams almost had Zion Williamson, so we thought.
Yeah, that one's still probably a little painful. Seton O'Connor.
I learned that Paul found a way to make Todd's scoreboard segment entertaining today.
And
great clue ideas, all waste. My
and make
fun.
And make it irrelevant, too.
Can I share my clue real quick? It was foregone conclusion. For
Thank you, Todd. Paulie, what did you learn today?
I can't imagine how many jerseys and shirts Todd has in his closet.
No matter what happens, you want to make sure your loved ones are taken care of. That's why LegalZoom has made it easy to set up the right estate plan without leaving your home. Take care of your family today with the right estate plan at LegalZoom.com. For Seton, Paulie, Fritzy, and McLovin, yours truly, this has been The Dan Patrick Show. Talk to you tomorrow.